In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, my dear friends, nowadays, here in the society of Pakistan, and maybe many other similar societies are also included, we are of the view, we are of the view that maybe most of the people in the society, or maybe the overwhelming number of people in the society, these people are not caring, these people are not honest, these people are not sympathetic, these people are not empathetic, these people are not sensible, intelligent, or well mannered. Generally speaking, it might be true, but on the basis of it, keeping ourselves away from the rest of the society, for most of the people, this might not be as good, this might not be as appropriate, because because assuming this and then living accordingly by keeping ourselves far away from the other people, it might not be that good at all. Maybe we are depriving ourselves from certain very useful, very beneficial relationships in the despite the fact that there are people who are not honest, not sympathetic and kind-hearted at all. But despite all that, off and on, we might come across someone else who is so reasonable, who is so sympathetic, who is so empathetic, and who is so kind hearted, dear friends and fellows. And every time we find someone like this one, we feel really good. And I am of the view that it is not a solution at all. If at all we have decided to cut ourselves off from so many of the people, from most of the people in the society, I think that is not a solution to any of the problems. Rather, whatever is the solution, I think that we need to face the people, we need to meet the people, we need to come across the people, and even if at all somebody is not such a nice and decent person, it is not wise at all to totally cut ourselves off from that particular person. I think that we should be able to meet each other at least for a while, and we should be able to about ask each other and at least ask each other about their well-being, even though it is for a very short span of time. But cutting ourselves off from the people, it's bad for many of the reasons. And the reasons are, my dear friends, there are so many things which we can learn from each other. Even if at all we don't want to interact with them, we don't want to have any sort of a partnership with those people. Despite all that, I think there is so much which can be learnt from each other, which we can learn from them. If at all they are not interested, I think at least we should be interested, and the reason behind our interest should be that we can learn. And if at all we do think that the other person is not willing to teach us, not willing to tell us, I believe that even then there are so many of the information she cannot stop. And simply by observing them, I think that we can learn, and we can learn indeed. So for that reason, not only this thing, if at all we are willing, we are determined to somehow make our old make the new relationships, as well as carry on and improve the old relationships as well. This way, on the one hand, we can learn so much, on the other hand, we might come across someone else with whom we can develop some sort of mutual cooperation, some sort of partnership which will be beneficial ultimately for both of these people, for myself, for the other self, for yourself, and for themselves. I think it is quite beneficial. It does not mean that we don't need to observe, we shouldn't be observing the cares and the cautions. I don't say anything like that at all, because as far these cautions are concerned, as far these carefulness are concerned, these are mandatory and these are not optional at all. Why? Because if at all someone else is dangerous person, in that case, I think we should be able to protect ourselves from that particular person. Unless and until we are interacting with someone else, we cannot understand the kind of person he she is and the kind of thing I and you can learn from them, because there is always something to learn from another person, the person with whom we are interacting with, the person who is one of our acquaintance, and the person. I think this is always fine, always nice. Even some of the people are very bitter one, some of the people are very toxic, another some of the people, they are the cheaters, they are the unfair people. But I think so we need to keep observing all of these people, for the reason that if at all we don't observe them, we cannot learn from them at all. And if at all we are not learning from them, it actually means that we are depriving ourselves of from something which can be gained and which can be learned from these people. On the other hand, we might come across some of the people, these some of the people are really great, and we find quite a pleasant surprise every time we come across someone like them. Sometimes it does happen that we know a person since long, maybe they are my relative and your relative, but we could not understand each other, and a moment arrive when we do have to interact each other, and at this moment we come to realize that this person is really a nice one, this person is really a decent one, a caring person, a sympathetic person, an empathetic person, having lots of knowledge, lots of information. And so there is enough amount which can be learned from those people. And not only this thing, there are certain areas where we can cooperate with each other for the mutual benefit, and it does happen only and only once. I think we are adamant that I do have to interact with a person, no matter how negative somebody is, no matter how non cooperative somebody is, no matter how selfish and some selfish and self centered somebody is. I think that we shouldn't be cutting ourselves off from those people at all. Instead, we need to keep interacting, we need to keep talking, we need to keep the doors open between us and them. Do not erect a wall at all, and do not stop communicating, because this is something counterproductive. It's not good at all, and it will not be in the mutual benefit, it will not be in mine and your benefits. For keeping in view this thing, I think that we should be always trying to understand the other person, always trying to have a kind of a relationship with that particular person, even if at all this relationship is a minimal one and not a maximal one, even not an optimal one. Even then, I think that we need to keep the relationship, in a healthy shape. It could be make smaller, even more smaller. No matter how much bad somebody is, I think there is still something to learn. First of all, many of the people are against it, that we are calling someone else as a bad person. But I think so, even if at all somebody is not a positive person, even if at all somebody is not a responsible person, still there is something which can be learned from them. That is why it is really important we can gain certain information from those people, and another learning as well.